The following is a presentation of ESPN on ABC.
Welcome, everyone, to Amon G. Carter Stadium in Fort Worth, Texas, where today the fourth-ranked TCU Horned Frogs play host to the Texas Longhorns. It's a Big 12 battle between two teams who come into this one from opposite ends of the emotional spectrum.
Boykin takes the snap. Rolling, looks right, throws it too high. Oh, it was caught on the backhand. Are you kidding me? He hauled it in. Dotson tipped it in the air. Aaron Green hauled it in.
2 weeks ago, Texas rallied from 21 points down, only to miss an extra point in the final seconds and lose to Cal by 1. Last week, they seemed headed for overtime against Oklahoma State, but a mishandled punt snap led to a game-winning Cowboys field goal in the final seconds. And we welcome you to this sellout crowd. Sean McDonough along with Chris Spielman here in the broadcast booth. We're joined down on the field by Todd McShay. TCU's a team with national championship hopes. The defense is going to have to play better, more like it has in recent years, if that's going to happen. But Todd, as we saw last week in Lubbock, still plenty of talent on this Horned Frog offense.
And they're loaded. It starts at the quarterback position. I really think Trevone Boykin is a Heisman hopeful and a potential NFL quarterback, maybe, because of his development in the last 2 years. Last year, he was a wide receiver transitioning. This year, he's at another level. To show you what I mean, with his eyes, watch him locate pre-snap the safety. He knows he wants to go to Josh Dotson, his #1 receiver. He knows he has man-to-man coverage on the right side. He's going to negotiate that safety first and then drop the ball in perfectly down the right sideline. Oh, by the way, Dotson, one of the premier wide receivers in the country, 35 catches, Sean, already through 4 games.
Boykin's 485 yards passing last week, a career high. The same is true for Josh Dotson's receiving numbers. And Aaron Green, the heroic catch, also had 162 yards rushing. Meanwhile, Texas, after those back-to-back heartbreaking losses, is 1-3, their worst 4-game start since 1956. But, Chris, it's a young team that you can see getting better despite the losses.
Yeah, there's signs that are not that far away, but there's a lot of pressure. And sometimes when there's pressure, coaches coach tight, players play tight. What they need to do, Sean, in my opinion, they have to figure out how to win close games. And there's a difference between playing how not to lose, and that's what they're doing right now.
It's a program in need of a big win. They could achieve that today in Fort Worth. The Horns and the Frogs coming up. Back at newly renovated Amon G. Carter Stadium, a beautiful facility and a gorgeous day here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. 69 delightful degrees under sunny skies as we get ready to begin today's game between TCU and Texas. Texas won the toss and deferred, so TCU elected to receive the opening kickoff. The dangerous Cavante Turpin, a freshman, back deep for the kick from Nick Rose. And we're underway. Very little breeze as the game begins. Here's Turpin. Nice haul. Flag down. Turpin down at the 27-yard line. Bolton Hill made the tackle for Texas. The referee is Dan Romeo.
During the return of the kick, holding, receiving team, number 4, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Nico Small called for the penalty. Both teams have been heavily penalized recently. TCU's offense led by the senior Heisman Trophy contending quarterback Trevone Boykin, who's thrown a touchdown pass in 19 games in a row, the longest such streak in the country. And he leads all active players with his 10,250 yards of total offense in his career. Opens in the shotgun. And the fake to Aaron Green, and under pressure, slams it into the ground immediately. Good pressure right up the middle for the Texas Longhorns from Peter Jenkins, the team leader in tackles and a blitzing linebacker on first down.
When you look forward to Texas's defense today, the game plan is try to keep the ball in front of them and eliminate yards after catch and nothing over the top. Very good discipline right there by Ridgeway.
Four wide receivers spread the field for Boykin. They have a lot of injuries at wide receiver. He throws a rocket on target to the 25-yard line. Monte Turpin made the catch. They're without Ty Slanina today, who would be a starting wide receiver. He broke his collarbone last week in Lubbock, likely out for the year. Emmanuel Porter, who's in their wide receiver rotation, also will not play. Gray's out for the year. And Listenby is a question mark. He did take part in the warm-ups. I'd love to have him back. He can fly. Boykin faked the handoff and did not fool the defense of Peter Jenkins. So a strong opening series for the senior linebacker from Dallas, and a 3-and-out for the TCU offense.
Well, with a young defense, you want your seniors to step up and make plays. And right here, Jenkins does a good job of staying disciplined, understanding his responsibility is the quarterback on the read option, and he took care of it.
Ethan Perry, four-year starter at punter. Short tumbling kick, and Dajay Johnson buried immediately at the 40-yard line. 38-yard punt, no return. Here comes Texas on offense, led by Gerard Hurd, redshirt freshman from Denton Geyer High School in Denton, Texas. Highly touted prospect and a dual threat. He can hurt you both with his legs and with his arm. In his second start, week 3 of the season against Cal, he set the Texas single game record for total offense, mark previously held by Vince Young. He threw for more than 300 in that game, rushed for over 100. The only other Texas quarterback to do that is Colt McCoy. So he's in great company. Looking to throw on first down. He's a dangerous runner. And he got chopped down close to the line of scrimmage by Travon Howard, one of the two linebackers in the 4-2-5 alignment that Gary Patterson has coached with excellence over the years. Tyrone Swoops was the starter at quarterback last year. He struggled in the opener. The entire team did at Notre Dame as they got routed. They made the change to Hurd. He's provided a spark. There's a loose ball on the field as Dajay Johnson got rocked, and the ball's out and recovered by TCU.
Derek Kindred comes up and makes an outstanding tackle. They do a lot of combination coverages. Coach Patterson was concerned about tackling in space. You're going to see number 26 come into your screen right here. Put his head across the bow, helmet on the football, brings his feet, and they rally to the screen, Sean. That's one thing that they were concerned about, and they've been struggling with in the first few ball games was their open field tackling. And right there, Kindred, this is how it's done.
He's a veteran. They've been decimated by injuries on the defense, a big reason why they have underperformed relative to previous years. Nick Orr recovered the fumble. Johnson wobbly as he goes off. They're hoping that he can become a playmaker for this offense, Chris. He has the talent, great speed, but he's prone to drop balls and mistakes, and here's a mistake after a hard hit.
He's the one that has the juice on the offense. He can make people miss in the open field, and the game plan clearly is to get him to open field. With good recognition by TCU. They're playing a tight man press coverage, and as the game goes on, you'll see combination coverages by the Horned Frogs.
6 Texas turnovers in Austin last year as TCU routed the Longhorns 48-10. The defense for TCU did not have a takeaway in either of the last 2 games against SMU or Texas Tech, and that's rare. They went 27 games in a row prior to that with at least 1 takeaway, and that was the longest streak in the country. Boykin, after a fake to the right, looks over the middle, and it's batted down by the middle linebacker Malik Jefferson, the true freshman, one of the most highly recruited players in the country, and off to a good start as a Longhorn.
Yeah, good job of reading the quarterback, but watch the Texas defensive line. Nobody's rushing upfield, so on first down, they're playing run, so they're going to sit there and build a wall so Boykin can't take off and run. A good game plan so far by Vance Bedford, the defensive coordinator. Smart.
Pistol now for the TCU offense. Boykin again, plenty of time, and an open receiver near sideline. It's caught at the 32. Good for a first down for Jawan Story. A gain of 13 for the senior from Brooksville, Florida.
It's interesting to see early on. A lot of man-to-man coverage from Texas. They're challenging these cornerbacks to cover, especially Josh Dotson. Here we see him going down the field.
Deep toward the end zone. There's contact and a flag. Holden Hill's going to be penalized for pass interference on Josh Dotson. One of the many freshmen playing for Texas this year. True freshman out of Houston, Holden Hill.
Pass interference. Defense.
See,
Number
Holden
5.
panicked right there. That's a true freshman mistake. He's right in perfect position to make a play. And he sees that Dotson's going up, which will cause you to panic a little bit because of his excellent skill. Just turn your head, find the football, and you're in good shape. He'll learn as he goes.
Texas penalized 16 times in their loss last week against Oklahoma State. Most in the game since 2006 when they got flagged 19 times in a game against Rice. The walk-off to the 17-yard line. Boykin faked the handoff on the jet sweep action and went ahead for about 4. Hassan Ridgway, the star of that front 4. Charlie Strong said he's great when he plays. They're looking for more consistent effort. He's worked hard in recent years to get in better shape and give them more down after down. He was outstanding last week, including a fumble return for a touchdown against Oklahoma State. Boykin again all day to throw. Wide open receiver. Touchdown TCU. Cavante Turpin, the true freshman. It's a touchdown in 3 of the last 4 games for Turpin. The Horned Frogs strike quickly after the takeaway. Jaden Oberchrome adds the extra point. Gary Patterson's Horned Frogs, ranked number 4. Take the ball away for the first time in 3 weeks, and it immediately leads to a score. TCU fans enjoying the start here in Fort Worth. The Horned Frogs leading 7-0 for another overflow crowd. They've played to 104% of the seating capacity here for their home season to date. They'll have an overflow crowd again today. Chris Boyd elects not to run out the kickoff from Jaden Oberchrome.
You know, mental errors lead to touchdowns by the offense. You're going to see number 25 chase inside. They're going to roll to 3 deep coverage, meaning he has the deep third of the field off to his right. He vacates that zone, Todd. Easy picking for Boykin.
Yeah, Chris, that's the first time they've gone to zone coverage. The whole drive, a very aggressive scheme by Texas, playing man-to-man, especially with Holden Hill, number 5, their corner, matching up against the star wide receiver, Josh Dotson. It's going to be interesting to see if they change, because Boykin is going to pick them apart if they're going to play man-to-man on Dotson all day.
You can't have mental errors in the secondary, and that's what a young secondary will give you at times.
Jonathan Gray took the handoff. They blitzed off the corner, and that disrupted the run. Montrell Wilson, the tackle for the TCU defense.
Texas going a little bit of pace here, Sean. They want to establish rhythm. One way to get a quarterback in rhythm is pace.
Blitz from the other side was picked up. McCurd's pass way over the head of John Burt. We did not see Najee Johnson back on the field. He wobbled off after he fumbled on the last possession. He wasn't back there for the kickoff as well. Undoubtedly undergoing the concussion protocol, and if they don't have him, they're in bigger trouble. They've been woeful on 3rd down this year, as you see, and TCU's been one of the best 3rd down defenses in the country. Corey Ward dropped for a loss of about 2. It's just his 2nd catch of the year. Again, deeper down the wide receiver depth chart without DJ Johnson right now.
It's a nice luxury, though, if you have DJ out, because then you can start focusing on, you take your middle linebacker, Howard, who made the stop on the play, you roll him out to cover down on a wide receiver. That gives your defensive flexibility. So if you have a 190-pound middle linebacker over the head.
More special teams problems. Michael Dixon didn't handle the snap. And it's a safety and a 9-0 deficit. So we just showed you the missed extra point 2 weeks ago. Cost them an overtime opportunity against Cal. And Dixon couldn't handle a snap that was perfect last week against Oklahoma State in the final minute of a tie game. It led to the game-winning field goal for Oklahoma State. The snapper is Kyle Ashby. And that's his fault, way over the head of Dixon this time.
Yeah, it's the story of Texas right now. Self-inflicted wounds. And it's a team that doesn't know how to win. They're sitting around and they're waiting for bad things to happen. And bad things do happen. Now it's going to be interesting to watch how coaches respond throughout the game. They were lighthearted this week in practice, trying to keep it loose. But when things like that happen, sometimes you got to jump on them again.
Well, that should be a simple play to execute, the punt snap, but it just wasn't for the junior Kyle Ashby.
So Sean,
the kicker, the punter, and now the snapper in 3 straight games.
It's a trifecta, man. And it's self-inflicted. Now, you got to be careful this game doesn't get out of hand, because I promise you, within the 3 plays that TCU gets the ball, they're going over the top.
Free kick from the 20. They put it on the tee for Rose, and he kicks it out of bounds. Wow. Just when you think the special teams can't get much worse, this disaster, not even 3.5 minutes into the game.
Free kick out of bounds. Kicking team. Ball be placed 30 yards from where the ball was kicked. First down.
And that's the 50-yard line. Trevone Boykin now 1 touchdown pass away from tying Andy Dalton's school record after his TD pass to Turpin earlier in this quarter. He fires another rocket for a first down to the 37-yard line to Josh Dotson, a senior from right down the road in Mansfield, Texas. They get up to the line very quickly. Aaron Green weaves through the traffic, gets 11 more and a first down. Duke Thomas upended him at the end of the run.
They, like a lot of teams that run this hurry-up pace offense, you get a first down and right away they go to it, not allowing the defense to get set and catch them off guard. Boykin's got a whip arm. That ball comes out.
Three receivers to his right. 5-man rush for Texas. They don't get close. Boykin's throw low but caught at the 20-yard line by Jawan Story.
You know, as this game goes on, you take a look at the right tackle and right guard for TCU. They're giving a little bit of a run-pass giveaway. They're really set up for that pass pro, and their eyes are looking to where they're going to slide. So that's something to keep an eye on as we progress. More to come on that later if we can figure it out.
Are they giving something away now?
I'm going to say it's a little run action right now.
On 2nd and 3, it is a run. It's an option pitch back to Aaron Green. Transfer from Nebraska. He got belted by Dylan Haynes, but got the first down at the 15-yard line.
And Aaron Green's not the fastest running back, but man, he's quick. And really, it's a perfect complement in this offense. When they run some zone read option, they're going to spread you out the width of the field. They're going to make a lot of throws vertically, and then all of a sudden, they're just going to hand it off to 22. He's so quick through the hole.
And he can make people miss inside. Big people miss inside. That's why he's so effective.
Empty backfield, 5 wide receivers. They fake the jet sweep, single coverage, right side of the end zone for Dotson. Touchdown, TCU. That's a catch. Possessed it the entire way. Got the foot down. Holden Hill, the freshman, again with the tough task of trying to cover one of the best wide receivers in the country. And the extra point good from Jaden Overcrome.
Dotson had a veteran move on the touchdown, Sean. He gave a little push with his left hand to create enough space to knock Hill off balance.
That's the school record now for touchdown receptions, passing Josh Boyce.
ESPN's College Football on ABC. Brought to you by BMW. We only make one thing, the ultimate driving machine.
TCU trying to defeat Texas in back-to-back seasons for the first time since 1958 and 59. Off to a great start in pursuit of that goal.
And Holden Hill, the cornerback for Texas, is really doing a good job in terms of getting in position and staying with Dotson when they're going man-to-man coverage. But the problem is when the ball is in the air, forget it. Dotson is just at another level. To me, he's the best in the country at going up and tracking the football.
You know, the other thing, Todd, and Sean made a great point on this, the left hand of Dotson is going to go on the hip of Hill right here. Now, that's subtle enough where they're not going to call it, but it's enough pressure to knock him off balance so he cannot elevate to his highest point on the jump. That's veteran move. That's what will make him really good at the next level.
Barely 5 minutes into the game, this young Texas team on the road for the first time since the season opening drubbing at the hands of Notre Dame in South Bend. Already down 16-0. And without one of their leading playmakers on offense, Dejae Johnson. Rod Hurd, deep throw, and it's caught and out of bounds. Armonte Foreman caught the ball, but was across the boundary.
So, I mean, that's just, again, close. Close, almost, ifs, that gets you in trouble. They're not making plays, and they have yet to try to establish any type of running game. So you need to maybe get Jonathan Gray involved because of the smaller linebackers TCU plays with. There you go.
Jonathan Gray knocked down at the 30-yard line by Trayvon Howard.
So you have to get this going a little bit, and that just will take pressure off of Hurd if you get the ball on the ground. And Gray's a guy that he's a good player, but in order for him to be better, he's got to start making people miss in space, which he does not do on a consistent basis.
Top running back recruit out of high school, hasn't had that prolific career they expected. He's been solid. Montrell Wilson in pursuit of Hurd. So it's another 3-and-out for the Longhorn offense, and it couldn't have started any worse for Texas here in the first 6 minutes.
Yeah, I'm going to watch the attitude of the coaches and the players on the sidelines because this team does not handle disappointments very well. I'm going to see if there's going to be some finger pointing or any anger or frustration as this game progresses.
Well, the snap is on target, and it was caught, so that's a good start. And a fair catch made by Cavante Turpin at the 30-yard line. 40-yard punt.
And when I watch Dotson, I see a lot of Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's a great player at Cal. When you look at the size, same 6'2", 206 Allen was. Dotson's going to continue to get bigger and stronger. Allen had more receptions per game than at this point, but that number's growing for Dotson, obviously, 35 through 4 games coming into this one. The average per catch, see a little bit more out of Dotson, 14.3. He ran a 4.50 for scouts, a good time last spring. This guy plays a lot faster because of his ability to go track the football vertically, as Chris was talking about.
Yeah, 4.5 is good for a guy of that size, right, Todd?
Trevone Boykin takes off running and is chased out of bounds along the far sideline by another true freshman, Devontae Davis, number 9.
See if Texas, Sean, can rally in the defense and somebody take control out there, somebody make a play, do something, make something positive happen for the Longhorns. That would be the guy right there if somebody does. Ridgway.
On 2nd and 5, it's Aaron Green. Woo, knocked down by his own man, Jawan Story. Hardest hit of the football game so far. And Green did not enjoy Story time. They get over the ball quickly. 3rd down and 2. And now Boykin will call a play. And the pass incomplete. Thrown into some traffic. The direction of Dotson.
And Dotson, we saw earlier playing man-to-man. He was really taking Hill, number 5, to school. So what they've done, Texas, is they've brought a safety over the top. Now, you've got to adjust if you're Boykin. You can't look his side every time. There's going to be other open receivers, and the run game's going to open up if they consistently, the Longhorns, have to put a safety over the top of Dotson.
Well, Dotson's a money-down player. That's where he went to him. Stared him down.
Ethan Perry punts, and Duke Thomas gets away from it. Again, that would have been Jay Johnson back to receive the punt. He's 11th in the nation in punt returns, but he's out. The ball's out of bounds after a 44-yard kick. Tonight on ABC, a showdown between two unbeaten 6th-ranked Notre Dame in Death Valley to take on 12th-ranked Clemson. That's tonight at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Saturday Night Football on ABC, presented by Wells Fargo. 3rd meeting all time between the two schools. First and 10. Texas. Dante Foreman. Quality gain and a 1st down for Texas out to the 36-yard line. A run of 17.
Yeah, it's a good job of pulling around by number 17, Bahay. You see Foreman out there just running to open space and using his big size to lumber down the field, but a good lead block by Bahay.
First down of the day for Texas, followed by a loss. Excellent penetration by Nick Orr. Here's Cassidy.
Thanks, Sean. Taco Bell studio update just up the road in Norman. Another Big 12 matchup. Number 23 West Virginia, number 15 Oklahoma. Baker Mayfield to Mark Andrews. Sooners up 7-0. Mountaineers trailing for the first time this season. Sean?
All right, Cassidy, thank you. Here at 16-0, TCU trying to win its 13th straight game. Foreman took a couple of healthy hits, got pinballed around to the 42-yard line, and here's 3rd down and 4. Montrell Wilson made a stop.
One thing you can do right here is now you can work the middle of the field. If they go man-to-man, you have to have better athletes. Now, if they're in man-to-man, Gerard Hurd has to look to run the ball because he only has 4 yards. And that means the Horned Frogs defenders' backs will be turned to him, so he could pick up a 1st down with his feet.
Hurd throws short, and the catch is made, but it's well short of the 1st down. John Burt back to the line of scrimmage, and that's all. Another tackle for Montrell Wilson. Only picked up a 1st down, but with 6 minutes to go in the 1st quarter, Charlie Strong's Longhorns will punt. Michael Dixon, freshman from Australia. Shank off to the right. And it's a nightmare right now on special teams for Texas. A 22-yard punt. Dixon's from Australia. They found him in one of those kicking academies that are sending more and more punters in particular. And some place kickers over to this country. Schools sending recruiters over to Australia to recruit at those camps. On first down, it's Aaron Green in trouble. Managed to make a positive play out of what looked like it might be a loss. P.J. Locke, another freshman, on the stop for Texas. A gain of 3.
Aaron Green is the difference maker in this offense. Obviously, you have your stars, but he's the one that helps set it up.
Breaks tackles, crosses midfield, and is out of bounds at the Texas 48-yard line. 15-yard run for the transfer from Nebraska. Aaron Green played 1 year for the Cornhuskers, was stuck behind Amir Abdullah. Charles Amenahu made the tackle. Another true freshman on this Texas defense. Boykin throws near sideline. Turpin's open again. Nifty move and on to the goal line. Touchdown, Horned Frogs.
So we have a wheel route. The responsibility of the outside defender is to run with the wheel route. And they expose number 21, Duke Thomas, looking in the backfield and chasing again, vacating his area of responsibility. And when you have a veteran quarterback like Trevone Boykin, knowing where to go with the ball, reading coverages and delivering strikes, that's the result.
Jaden Oberchrome adds the extra point. Already 3 touchdown passes today for Trevone Boykin. He's the all-time leader now at TCU, passing Andy Dalton. Charlie Strong and his coaching staff trying to hold things together on the far sideline. Disastrous start, not even 10 minutes played. TCU kicks off with a 23-0 lead. They're going to try it. Chris Boyd, the true freshman, hesitated in the end zone. Tried to make a play for a team in dire need of one. And Rico Evans made the tackle shy of the 20-yard line. In the first 10 minutes of Texas mistakes, Jay Johnson fumbled, injured on the play, has him in back. Holden Hill pass interference, set up a touchdown, a high snap on a punt, and then a shank punt. Shank punt led to a short field, 64 yards. They needed only 3 plays to do that on a 49-yard touchdown pass for TCU. Meanwhile, the Texas offense has done almost nothing, just 1 first down compared to 9 for the Horned Frogs.
I still maintain you don't panic, but you have to get a little more balanced than they tried to in that last series. Getting a run involved, maybe with Hurd.
Marcus Johnson went in motion. Hurd. That's what he can do. Chased out of bounds, almost a late hit by Montrell Wilson. Here's Todd McShay.
And every time they move the chains, it's a positive. I think Texas right now, it's huge that the offense is able to sustain a drive. Obviously, you want points, but they've got to keep the defense off the field, let them rest a little bit. No pass rush we saw that last time. I think Texas defense is tiring.
Jonathan Gray has the 2nd first down of the quarter for Texas. Senior from Aledo, right down the street. Jay Norvell is the play caller now. He was the wide receiver coach when the season began and still is, but after they had a very rough outing in the opener against Notre Dame, scored just 3 points, had 163 yards of offense. Charlie Strong made a change. Hurd kept it after the fake and goes down shy of the line of scrimmage. Bryson Henderson the stop. Jay Norvell, Chris, has experience in this spread offense, which is new for Texas this year. Sean Watson, the former play caller, his background in the West Coast offense. And Charlie felt Norvell would be more comfortable calling plays in this offense.
Well, I think it's the right move. I mean, if you're going to go completely to it, then go to the guy that knows it, and Sean's handled it well.
Hurd down, the ball pops out. Looked like he hit the ground, and then it popped out, and undoubtedly they'll review that, but at least for the moment, on the field, it's a fumble.
Rolling on the field.
And it's TCU's ball.
Recovered by the defense. First down, TCU.
This is going to be...
Montrell Wilson knocked it out, and I believe he also recovered the fumble.
Yeah, he got the daily double, and this is going to be on number 74, the center, Doyle, who's going to throw a no-hitter. See, they're sitting there with a combination block, and he just does not slide to pick it up, and Montrell Wilson hustling over, getting the fumble, and it's just outstanding pressure. And right now, I mean, we talk about freshmen for Texas, right? And they're young, they're young, they're young. Well, guess what? That's a true freshman making a play for TCU. And right now, the TCU freshmen on that young defense are making plays where the Texas freshmen aren't making the plays.
The question is this a fumble? Was he down? And Doug Rhodes, former supervisor of officials in the ACC, 30 years of on-the-field officiating experience, with us here today. What do you think?
Well, the ball seems to be coming loose just as he is down. Any part of his body other than the hand or foot, when it touches, he's down. And that's virtually simultaneous there. I don't see how replay can change that. You know, you stay with what's on the field. Here you see that ball just starting to come loose.
Really?
As his elbow hits. That's simultaneous. That's going to be tough.
Don Capel is the replay official.
I see it the other way.
I thought that the ball came loose when his elbow hit the ground, but you thought the ball was coming out before his elbow hit the ground. Is that what you're saying, Doug?
Right, just in that last frame there, it looks like he's holding it in one hand, and it appears to be moving a little bit, but that's the difficulty of replay. He's got to be beyond all doubt.
And since the ruling on the field was a fumble, if the replay is not conclusive, then the call on the field will stand.
Unless they have another frame there, but at the very last instant, just before his elbow hits.
Texas' offense is huddling up. They feel confident that it's going to get overturned. See, Montrell Wilson is that type of linebacker that Gary Patterson loves. He's that safety hybrid. And you look at the size of their linebackers, they don't have one linebacker starting that's over 210 pounds.
The quarterback's arm was down prior to fumbling the ball. It'll be third down and 23 at the 16-yard line.
Sorry, Doug.
It happens sometimes.
No.
This is the first time in 40 years. I can't believe it.
Well, Doug's going to have plenty of chances today because he's also heading over to Arlington later for the game between Texas Tech and Baylor. It's a busy sports day here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area with this game, the Tech-Baylor game at AT&T Stadium, and the Texas Rangers are home today in Arlington. A chance to clinch the division as they play the Angels.
Third and 23. Hurd can't squeak out of the pile. Yanked down by Chris Bradley. And that TCU defense, which has taken a lot of heat, particularly after the performance last week up in Lubbock, determined to make a point here today, it seems.
That's a problem for Texas offensive line. If you're max protecting, meaning keeping 7 in, you can't keep 4 out. You've got bigger problems than you think on that offensive side of the ball.
If this punt doesn't go well, Dixon might be looking at a bus ticket back to Austin. Short punt, and it's muffed. Devontae Turpin couldn't field it. There's a flag thrown along the far sideline. The Horned Frogs got it back, a 40-yard punt. And snapper Kyle Ashby was down there. You saw him smacking himself in the helmet. Apparently he thought he had a great chance to recover it and did not.
Well, that's the 4th almost for Texas. Almost made a play. Almost had it. Should have had it. Would have had it. Could have had it.
Happened the last couple of weeks as well.
I'm going to start counting.
Oklahoma State, they had a lot of plays turned over by the 16 penalties. And in fairness to the Longhorns, we watched the tape of that game. There were a couple of very questionable calls.
Illegal block in the back. Receiving team, number 2. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Corey O'Mealy called for the penalty.
Here, this is again where you have a chance to change the game, the momentum. You have the ball in your chest and you almost get it. You almost cover the guy. You almost make the tackle. You almost hit the pass.
Yeah. Kyle Ashby, you see why he was smacking himself in the helmet. He had that right in his lap. He's had a rough first quarter. The high snap over the head of the punter that led to a safety. TCU ball, 2:53 to go, first quarter. Frogs from their own 38. Boykin, good catch of a slightly high throw. Dotson out of bounds across midfield to the 48-yard line of Texas, a 14-yard completion.
Yeah, you might want to cover 9. That might be a good idea. And right there you see the Texas defensive back. Number 9 gets lost a little bit. Devontae Davis, again, a true freshman, making a mental error.
3 catches for 42 yards and a touchdown for Dotson. Aaron Green's turn. Tripped up as he crossed the line of scrimmage. Peter Jenkins the tackle. Andy Dalton, one of the good guys in football. Great quarterback here at TCU, now in the Bengals. Had his career passing touchdown mark broken here in the first quarter by Boykin.
Yeah, Andy's having a good start for the Bengals this year. Off and rolling.
4-man rush for Texas on 2nd and 7. The catch made over the middle. And a big hit delivered by Malik Jefferson on Desmond White.
A bright spot for the Longhorns in the future. And they have talented young freshmen. It's just they're still learning how to play. But right there, Jefferson didn't jump too early because there was a man coming right behind him, and he forced a check down throw to White from Boykin.
3rd down and 2. Might be 4 down territory for TCU with under a minute and a half to go in the first quarter. Trevone Boykin has his man, first down to the 34-yard line before Jefferson drove back Tony James.
Well, this is the difference between TCU defense and Texas defense. Texas defense does not jump routes. You'll watch TCU, they'll do combination coverage, means jumping routes, especially in those tight 3rd down situations. You have to turn your zone coverage into man-to-man coverage to take that yellow line away.
James, a true freshman wide receiver, seeing action because of the injuries. Ahead of him on the depth chart, Aaron Green squirts up the middle. Got 4, yanked down by Poona Ford. Again, they get very quickly to the line of scrimmage. That's a backward pass. This is going to be another pass. Sean Nixon to the end zone. Touchdown. Josh Dotson. They lined up very quickly, went into the bag of tricks, and Texas had no answer.
They weren't lined up. And you have to be prepared for that. When you play TCU, you know that's coming. You know that they go hurry up after a first down or a big play. You got to be prepared, and you have to have one call that you go to in that type of situation so everybody's on the same page.
Six plays to go 62 yards. Oberkrome's extra point makes it 30-0. Sean Nixon, a running back and receiver. He'll line up at both spots, we're told today. Also a thrower, and they executed that play to perfection.
And Sonny Cumbie told us, the offensive coordinator, they have burner plays. And Chris, you're exactly right. When they get to the line, it's a burner play. They get the call in. That's as fast as they went all day. And you'll see the defensive back for Texas, they just weren't ready.
Yeah, you look at Texas looking around, looking for a call. By the way, they're going to hurry up. They see Texas looking around. Doug Meacham, the other offensive coordinator, along with Sonny Cumbie, had this one dialed up perfectly. A great throw by Sean Nixon.
Go ultra fast. A lot of times it's just one word, and everybody on the offense knows what that play is.
And it might have just been him waving his arms like he was stretching his arms out.
Yeah,
something as simple like that.
TCU entered today's game averaging 51 points per game, 5th in the country. behind Baylor, Ole Miss, Texas Tech, and Memphis. They might have 51 and a half the way this is going. Oberchrome kicks off, and Boyd this time advised not to run it out. College football action continues this afternoon at 3:30 Eastern Time. Number 1 Ohio State in Bloomington to take on the undefeated 4-0 Indiana Hoosiers, and Texas Tech faces number 5 Baylor in what is almost certainly going to be a shootout. Both games available. One's on ABC, the other's on ESPN2, depending on where you live. 19 miles from here, you drive east from Fort Worth to AT&T Stadium in Arlington. That's where Texas Tech and Baylor will battle at 3:30 Eastern Time, 2:30 here locally this afternoon. Deontay Foreman somehow managed to break free, and he rumbles out of bounds at the 40-yard line with a first down. Ridwan Issahaku, who hasn't seen much action so far this year, in there at safety. It's a 15-yard gain.
We'd like to see that. Foreman coming on a little bit, taking some positive yards, earning reps.
He gets the call up the middle, and that'll be the final play of the first quarter. History made by Dotson, tied now with Josh Boyce, and then surpassing Boyce for the all-time touchdown receptions mark for the Horned Frogs, and Boykin alone atop the touchdown pass records here in Fort Worth. Sean McDonough, Chris Field, and Todd McShay, a sellout crowd at Amon G. Carter Stadium in Fort Worth on a gorgeous day. All TCU, and that's putting it mildly in the first quarter. They lead 30-0 as the second quarter begins with Deontay Foreman running straight ahead. Taken down by Montrell Wilson, just short of the first down. Third down, about a yard and a half. Texas went quickly, and Foreman got the first down.
This is probably how they should have started the ball game. They came out throwing. And you understand that they're undersized at the linebacker position, so you might, next time you play this type of team, start attacking them up the middle early, then set up your passing game off the running game.
Leaning very heavily on the run right now. Another tackle for Montrell Wilson. Deontay Foreman, the ball carrier. Sophomore from Texas City, Texas, twin brother of Armonte Foreman, the wide receiver. Rod Hurd throws to the near side. Marcus Johnson, gang tackled right at the line of scrimmage, led by Nick Orr, the sophomore cornerback.
Sean, that was great discipline by Orr, staying outside, forcing the ball into the hot pursuing Frogs, all coming from the inside. Just outstanding, and their defense is starting to gel and click. They've made a lot of mental errors in the first few games, but they're turning it on today. I mean, they're right on cue.
On third down and 5, Hurd with time, deep throw, and it is caught, but is he in bounds? The officials conferring yes is the original call. It's a catch for Deontay Foreman and a first down inside the 25-yard line.
Young quarterback recognizing mismatch. You have a running back on Tuaua who's a defensive end trying to run with the wheel route. It's a good job, I heard, of locating and putting the catchable ball in the air.
And Foreman's first foot was down in bounds. Hurd on the design roll through the hands of John Burt, the true freshman from Tallahassee, Florida.
One thing that's really stood out today, I think TCU's playing faster defensively. It looks like for the first time, we studied the tape, Chris, they're not thinking as much and they're just reacting.
Yeah, thought brings hesitation, and hesitation brings embarrassment. And so they eliminated thought, and you can see it on the field.
Jonathan Gray gets the carry that time. Spins to the 21. before he was driven back by Chris Bradley. Well, they lost a lot of talented players to expired eligibility, graduation after last season. But then it got even worse this year. Sammy Douglas would have been a starting linebacker, injured, gone for the year. Mike Freese started the opener against Minnesota, asked for personal leave. Iloka's gone for the year. They expect Latham will be back next week. And they've moved safeties to linebacker. And they're playing the second and third stringers and some walk-ons at a lot of positions. Hurd had to throw it away. Corey O'Mealy had coverage on John Burt. Texas Tech picked on O'Mealy last week up in Lubbock. He's had a much better start today.
Yeah, their whole defense, Sean, they're starting to get it. And what Gary Patterson coaches is that he coaches a coverage that is a zone but turns into a man, and they actually play plays.
On 4th and 9, the field goal unit comes out. Nick Rose. You can see with those flags, no win, 39-yard field goal. Trey Holtz, grandson of Lou Holtz, is the holder. And it's an offer for the Texas special teams. 30-0 TCU in a timeout in Fort Worth. Are you going to be out and about on this college football Saturday? You don't have to miss any of the action while you're on the go. Stream any game live. Download the Watch ESPN app or go to watchespn.com. .12:11 remaining till halftime. TCU with the ball in a 30-0 lead. Ranked number 4 in the country, the number 2 in the preseason. Boykin after a pump fake, a late throw, and incomplete, intended for Desmond White. John Bonney closed after the pump fake. Redshirt freshman cornerback from Houston making the play.
Again, you're right, Sean. Good eyes by you on the lateness of that throw. And Bonney would got his head around. He might have had a chance for a pick 6 because the ball was behind and off to the inside.
Throw incomplete for Jalen Austin. Duke Thomas had the coverage. He's the leader of that secondary, according to Vance Bedford, the defensive coordinator, preseason all Big 12. And today is his 28th career start, and that jumps out with a lot of young people around him.
Good player, tough, solid, physical corner, which is an oxymoron in a lot of this world of football, but he's one of them.
Vance Bedford calls, especially what they play in this Big 12, video game football. The high scores, it seems, in every game. Desmond White got belted down. There's a flag down. Jason Hall and John Bonney there.
I think Jason Hall came in a little high to the head and neck area.
You think he was targeting?
We'll see.
Personal foul. Targeting.
Yeah.
Defense. Number 31. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down. The previous play is now under further review.
Making a break on the football, and you have to avoid the head and neck area as a safety. Great job by White of tracking that football. I don't know if he caught the head or neck or his head was below the shoulder pad level from that angle. It's tough to tell.
Oh, anything, it looked like he made contact with his own man. Well, again, Doug Rhodes is here. 30 years of on-field officiating.
Yeah, that looks more to the shoulder. The rule says the defensive player, which he is, a receiver in the process of catching the ball, cannot hit him in the head or neck area, forcibly in the head or neck area. So what replay is going to try and determine here if there's enough to the shoulder, and right when that view doesn't help a lot, but I think forcible to the head or neck may not be there, more into the shoulder. We have a view. This is probably going to be our best view here. I think that's going to be reversed. See if I'm better off than I was on that first one. Well, I hate it when Sean's right.
Well, so does everybody else on this crew. It doesn't happen very often.
After review, there is no foul for targeting. It'll be first down and 10 at the 43.
Plus 11 a.m. kickoff, Doug. Everybody's just warming up here, getting started on this beautiful Saturday.
You know, sometimes on those hits, we see receivers, if they take a violent jolt like that, their head automatically can snap back without being hit.
Sure. And that's why last year the term forcible was added to separate it from when you get that initial contact and it comes up. It's got to be forcible in the head or neck area.
And Doug, the officials are instructed, if it's a question in their mind, throw the flag?
Correct. When in question, it is a foul.
It can also obviously be overturned as it was in the review. Monte Turpin. He's had an active first half. We haven't seen Colby Listenby, who did warm up, the track star, track All-American at TCU earlier this year. He ran a 10.03 100 meters, but we have seen plenty of Dotson. Desmond White helping fill the void in the absence of Emmanuel Porter. They hope he'll be back next week. He injured a leg at Texas Tech last weekend. Down the sideline, Dotson got a hand on it. I enjoyed what he said after the game last week. He caught 18 passes, did Dotson, for 267 yards. That's the most receiving yards by an FBS player since 2013. It was a school record. And yet he was frustrated. He felt he should have had at least 2 more catches. He did drop one that should have been a touchdown in the third quarter in the end zone.
Yeah, I think he's a perfectionist, like a lot of great wide receivers, and they believe if the ball hits their hands, they bring it in.
Whoa. Now he's in a slump.
Yeah, he's got to get his head around. He was slow coming out of his break because I believe Boykin delivered that ball early, but good quarterbacks will anticipate and throw 2 spots, and Dotson is going to take the blame for that because his head was not out of his break.
Ethan Perry on the punt. Again, Duke Thomas back deep for Texas. It is the part of the field and the kind of distance where if you're inclined to run a fake, you might. Ahead 30-0. They kick it away. Fair catch made by Thomas. 11:08 remaining in the first half. It's a 39-yard punt.
ESPN's College Football on ABC. Brought to you by Buick, proud partner of the NCAA. And Chick-fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich.
Defenses around the country certainly fear the Frog. TCU came into this game having scored at least 55 points in each of the last 3 games against Stephen F. Austin, SMU, and Texas Tech. It's the first time in school history they've scored 55 or more in 3 straight games. And they're on pace to do it again today against Texas. Leading 30-0 early in the second quarter. 1st and 10 Longhorns. Texas from its own 12. Jonathan Gray powers ahead for a hard-earned couple. There's 57 yards of offense to this point for Texas. They stick with the ground. It's Jonathan Gray, 2 yards short of the first down as we send you back to Cassidy.
All right, Sean, let's take a look at who's getting it done, presented by Wells Fargo. And after West Virginia score tied it up, Oklahoma responds quickly. Baker Mayfield with a second TD pass. This one to Sterling Shepard. 4 plays, 75 yards, and 51 seconds. 14-7 Sooners.
And of course, Texas and Oklahoma renew their great rivalry next week with the Cotton Bowl. Another big hit by Montrell Wilson to stop Jonathan Gray short of the first down.
And that's the issue. Chris mentioned it earlier. When you're a bigger back like Jonathan Gray and you're not making a lot of people miss, you've got to lower your shoulder and drive through defenders. These Texas backs, especially Gray, they're not taking advantage of their size. They're not picking up 2-3 yards at the end of runs that they desperately need.
I got 208 pounds knocking the guy backward that needs to get a yard. Got to get tougher.
Michael Dixon the punt and Cavante Turpin the fair catch. 37-yard boot. Take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. If you're a Texas fan, you might want to look away from the screen. The Jay Johnson A fumble, first takeaway in 3 games for TCU. And a bad snap on a punt. 3 touchdown passes already for Trevone Boykin, trying to enhance his Heisman Trophy candidacy. Might have competition for that honor on his own team. Josh Dotson. 2 touchdowns today on 4 catches. Boykin, also a talented runner, started today as the second leading rusher for TCU. He weaved his way out to the 47-yard line.
You know, as you progress forward through the season, you got to tell Boykin, and he's a smart guy, don't take any unnecessary hits. You still want him to be a factor in the ball game, but get down as soon as you can to avoid any unnecessary contact.
Kyle Hicks gets the carry, sophomore from Arlington, Texas. Well, certainly the favorite at the moment, with a lot of the season yet to be played, is Leonard Fournette. We're talking about the Heisman in this week's ESPN Experts poll. He was the leading point getter with another running back, Nick Chubb, right behind. It's the year of the running back right now. Boykin third.
This goes to show you, I mean, we're talking about spread offenses and the ball being thrown all over the place. It's funny, when it comes down to that Final Four, all those teams can run the football and run it effectively.
Boykin can also throw it. He can catch it. He's played some wide receiver here. Last week at Texas Tech, he caught a pass on a 2-point conversion. His pass for Dotson incomplete.
Well, that'll enhance his value too as draft time comes around. I think he's capable of being a quarterback in the NFL, more than capable. We'll get into that later, but I love his arm.
Ethan Perry to punt. Sonny Cumbie, the offensive coordinator, yesterday, we talked about Boykin, said you can check off all the boxes except height. He's just a fraction under 6 feet tall.
Got to catch it. Catch the ball.
Well, the fill-in punt returner back there for Deshae Johnson. Duke Thomas let it hit the ground, and it rolls down to the 4-yard line. Number 4, TCU dominating the Texas Longhorns here in Fort Worth. It's time for today's Aflac trivia question. We want to know, since 1960, what's the highest finish for a TCU player in the Heisman Trophy voting? Texas on its own 4, and Deontay Foreman dropped for a loss. Denzel Johnson, a big part of the play, along with Derek Kindred.
Coach Patterson was talking about, you're going to see a difference in his defense by having his defensive tackle back Pearsonell, and it makes a difference for linebackers, because when you're a stud defensive back like Pearson, or defensive tackle like Pearson, you make plays.
Foreman found a crease out across the 8-yard line. Traven Howard made the stop.
And one problem that you have if you're Texas is if it's a young quarterback who's not able to really check out of certain plays. So it feels, just watching here, like TCU is dictating terms. If they're running an extra guy in the box and Texas is called a run, they're staying with the run. TCU's had a lot of number game advantages so far when the ball has been snapped.
Well, they're playing in 5th gear, and Texas is playing in 3rd gear.
Hurd handed it off on a delay. Good call and well executed, and Foreman broke a couple more tackles. Got out to the 23 for a first down. Derek Kindred made the stop, pick up a 15.
And Jay Norvell, you see right there, loves to see his running backs make plays. Deontay Foreman, to me, is seizing his opportunity, Sean. He's going to take carries away from Gray, and he wants them, and so far he's earned them, running hard and tough.
Rod Hurd, deep ball, has a man behind the defense, and it's dropped. Armani Foreman, the twin brother of Deontay, had to go through his hands.
Well, I'm marking it down as my 5th almost for Texas, because he does a good job of the subtle left hand, and the ball's right in his hands, and you just, that's the dichotomy of the whole season right there. Drops, penalties, whatever you have, that's their season. And until they turn that around, they're going to struggle. Number 5 on the almost.
It looked like they were making progress even with some losses in recent weeks. Certainly the offense was a lot better in recent weeks, but higher caliber competition today. Foreman stopped for about a 5-yard gain. It'll be 3rd down and 3. Under 7 minutes to go in the half. Same play as the last first down they picked up. And this one's going to be close. Looks like he has it. Davion Pearson, the tackle. Here's Cassidy.
All right, Sean, South Carolina, Missouri. Lorenzo Nunez avoids a sack, chucks it up here, and watch this, off the deflection, Sean Carson, right place, right time, but Missouri answered quickly. They're up 17-10 over on the SEC Network.
We will hear Cassidy. Foreman slow to get up. 5 carries on this drive. 14 rushes, already 84 yards rushing. That's just about a season total entering today's game. First 4 games of the year, he had 99 yards rushing total. Good to see him up and trotting off under his own power.
Yeah, I think the one thing I see with him is he's running to his size. He's a big kid, and he's running through some tackles. They also have Chris Warren, son of the outstanding Seattle Seahawk running back Chris Warren, who was very tough to bring down. Maybe he'll get some shots today to see what he can do.
Texas playing without their starting right tackle on offense. Kent Perkins banged up with a knee injury. Didn't make the trip. They've been using Elijah Rodriguez, number 72, for the most part at right tackle. Armani Foreman dropped immediately by Ridwan Issahaku.
The glimmer of hope right there for Gerard Hurd, recognizing the corner blitz, understanding the safety will be late to coverage and delivering a strike. That's good. That's what you want to see. Progress from this offense. Recognition by a young quarterback is always positive.
And with Rodriguez in there as a redshirt freshman on the offensive line, they're playing with 3 freshman offensive linemen. Jonathan Gray got whacked by Derek Kindred. 7-yard gain, though, and another first down for Texas, moving methodically with 6 minutes to go in the half.
Yeah, I'm falling a little love right now because this is twice that he does it the proper way, where he runs through his target and doesn't stop his feet on contact.
Drive started at the Texas 4, and now they're out to midfield. Gray taken down by Issahaku.
You know, the biggest thing we see in college football, I like to see him keep his eyes up, but I love guys that don't stop their feet on contact. I talk to young defensive backs, and I tell them, it's like you're running a football on offense. You never slow down or stop your feet when contact comes. You try to run through it. Same on defense. Run through it.
Jonathan Gray looking for running room. Excuse me, it's Hurd running for a couple. Another 3rd down for Texas. They've actually had an edge now in the time of possession in this game. Looking for a bright spot. That's probably not enough to satisfy Longhorn fans. Oh, it is a change from earlier this year. The first 4 games they averaged just over 23 minutes in time of possession. Only Hawaii had the ball less. Timeout called by Texas.
First charge, timeout, Texas.
Let's take a look at today's Athletic Trivia question. Since 1960, what is the highest finish for a TCU player in the Heisman Trophy voting? Sean, did you cheat on this answer?
That's why we had you read it, because you would have cheated and answered. I actually got this right. LaDainian Tomlinson, 4th place in 2000. He's here today, cheering on his Horned Frogs. Trevone Boykin last year.
LT, tremendous back, versatile run, hands out of the backfield, competitor, everything you want.
Yep, classy guy, great in the community as well. So proud of what his school is accomplishing. On 3rd and 5, thrown out to Deontay Foreman. Great job to make the first man miss, and he has a first down for Texas. Inside the 39-yard line of TCU, 10-yard gain. On the 11th play of the drive that started back at the 4. LT just inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame last year. Joining, among others, our esteemed colleague Chris Spielman.
He's tremendous. Go to the post.
Jerron Hurd throws far sideline, incomplete. Marcus Johnson. Well covered by Denzel Johnson.
Well, Sean, he missed the post right here. You're going to see number 1 Burke's going to come into your season. And right here is a coverage where he does throw the ball. And it's not bad because he's looking for the matchup on a safety with a speedy wide receiver. But if he expanded his vision just a little longer, Burt was running wide open to the post.
50% for the day for Hurd, 60% for the year coming in. Deontay Foreman tripped up in the open field. Ridwan Issahaku, who's taken over from Michael Downing as a starting safety with some good work in practice the last few weeks.
Yeah, and as the season goes on and as he grows, Hurd does in this offense, this is what he's going to see. If you can throw him open, when you have that defensive back trailing on you, you throw to that middle of the field, it's vacated and hit it.
Flag before the snap.
Illegal snap infraction, number 74. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
The senior center, Taylor Doyle. Todd?
You know, Hurd hasn't had his best game, but his supporting cast has not held up its end of the bargain either. I look at 33 with Foreman, Jay Foreman, the running back. He's the only one that really, or Deontay Foreman, I should say, his twin brother. He's the only one that really has accepted the challenge. He's running hard, he's running fast, he's off the field now. But I think if they can extend this drive, that Foreman's the guy you got to continue to get the football to.
Well, he's earned it.
They've converted 3 third downs on this drive. They had just 2 for the game prior to this drive. Hurd gets away, has some space now, needs to get to the 28-yard line, running for the marker. And it looks like he has it. Where are they going to spot it? Right at the 28, chased out by Denzel Johnson.
Well, they get away with a holding call. Doyle grabs the defender coming in on a X stunt, allowing Hurd to vacate and get positive yards. Something positive happening for Texas, not getting a penalty called, which was a clear hold by Doyle.
It was not a first down. This is 4th down. Jonathan Gray with the second try gets it to the 25 and a first down for Texas. Montrell Wilson, another tackle. He's had a huge first half. True freshman from down the street in Keller, Texas. He has 9 tackles in the first half for this TCU defense, which gave up 52 points a week ago. Came in just 81st in the country in total defense, but much better today against Texas. Gerard Hurd couldn't find anybody. Takes off running. Gets 7 more. 7.5 more. Issahaku chased him out.
That's just pure athletic ability by Hurd, because Montrell Wilson was in position to make a play, and the biggest thing you can do on a speed guy, the biggest mistake is break down, because he'll make you miss, and that's exactly what happened.
17th play of the drive, which started at their own 4. Texas trying to get on the board. High snap. Hurd in trouble. Wisely goes down for a loss. Chris, we mentioned it earlier. 81st TCU in total defense this year, and that is stunning when you consider 5 times in the last 15 years under Gary Patterson they've been #1 in the country in total defense.
Well, a lot of losses. And the good thing about Coach Patterson, doesn't make excuses. He said being young doesn't matter. That's not an excuse. It's my job to coach them and get them to play under pressure at the highest level. Full responsibility and accountability for GP.
3rd down and 7. Plenty of time for Hurd. Throws toward the end zone. And it's incomplete. Intended for Armani Foreman. With Issahaku in coverage again.
It's a little late, Sean. It's almost there. It's almost there. If he would have saw just a little bit quicker, as you're going to see Armani Foreman on a slant and go. He's beat, but you see he had to slow his feet down, which allowed Issahaku to make up the covered ground.
What you said earlier about throwing him open, the throw was hitting Foreman in stride more toward the corner of the end zone. It's probably a touchdown. Hold your breath if you're a Texas fan. It's a special teams play. Nick Rose wide left with a 40-yard attempt. He's missed 2 now from 39 and 40.
And there's no payoff.
No.
17 play or 18 play drive, whatever it was, a long drive. The guys are playing hard, and you can't convert.
19 plays on the drive.
Thank you.
Of course, Rose missed the extra point with just over a minute to go at the end of the Cal game when they had rallied from 21 down. Charlie Strong stayed with him. He was the last young man to leave the locker room well after everybody else had. Charlie stayed with him. They had a long talk. Dotson the catch. He delivers a stiff arm, comes up the sideline. And Jay Norvell brought Nick Rose to the offensive team meetings and the film session early in the start of the next week, and he did it because he wanted to show the kicker, you weren't the only one who made a mistake. You know, it's a 60-minute game. Let me show you the mistakes that everybody else on the offense made. And that had to help a little bit, but Rose has been inconsistent throughout his career, and again this season. Dotson again out near midfield. I give Rose a lot of credit, Chris. After missing that extra point against Cal last week, he had 2 field goal opportunities from beyond 40 yards in the first quarter. His next 2 kicks, and he made both of them against Oklahoma State.
Yeah, it's such a fragile position mentally for kickers.
Dotson couldn't snare it with one hand along the near sideline. Coming up at the half, less than a minute of game action away. John Saunders, Mark May, Mac Brown, and the Cooper Tires halftime report. Scores and highlights from all around college football. Winning that big West Virginia-Oklahoma game. Texas looking at the strong possibility of being 1-4 as they go to the Cotton Bowl next week to take on the Oklahoma Sooners. Devontae Turpin on his way to the end zone again. Touchdown, Horned Frogs. His 3rd touchdown of the game.
Pre-snap read, Sean. It's an automatic right here. You got Turpin on number 19. And it's no matchup for Jenkins. I mean, you can't expect to have your guy cover him one-on-one, man-to-man without any safety help. Now, the safety was late, but Turpin is so quick and so elusive, and they made a conscious effort to get him involved in this offense because of his explosiveness, and you're seeing it today.
And the injuries to others open the door. Now we know why the coaches weren't that concerned about the injuries to some of the receivers. They have plenty of depth. 4 touchdown passes for Trevone Boykin today. 3 of them to Turpin, the other Josh Dotson.
Trevone Boykin, we've talked about all day long, coming into the game and throughout this game. Just he's on time and seeing the whole field. The thing that really stands out on tape and watching this, the touch too. He really gets great trajectory on the football, gets the ball out on time, leads his receivers to extra yards. It's just been all day, Chris.
Well, the thing I love about him is his ability to use his eyes to move defenders, but as our good friend Trent Dilfer calls it, load to arrival.
Yeah, the LTA, it's huge.
Well, I call it gets rid of the ball fast in a hurry. And that's what he does, and that's what you need to, I think, succeed at the next level, especially if you're a shorter guy. You need that quick delivery, and the ball has zip, velocity, and accuracy.
It's exactly what we'd expect out of a linebacker.
There you go.
14 out of 23 for 246. Off his career high 485 in their dramatic last-second win at Texas Tech last week. 20 straight games with at least 1 touchdown pass. That's the longest streak in the nation. Corey Warwick takes the short kick and gets shoved out of bounds along the near sideline at the 24-yard line. It's the show the press calls instantly addictive. Priyanka Chopra stars in ABC's new hit drama Quantico. That's tomorrow night at 10, 9 Central on ABC. Show about a diverse group of recruits who arrive at FBI Quantico base for training.
I think they got a traitor in their midst. I think that's how the whole, yeah.
Offside penalty against TCU. For 44 seconds, where Gerard Hurd and the Texas offense tried to do something. A 19-play drive a moment ago ended in a missed field goal. They are up to 100 yards rushing in the half, so that's a bright spot. Monty Foreman the catch. Nick Orr right there. Texas does have 2 timeouts, but still at their own 35, not going to use them yet.
It's pretty impressive, Sean, how quick the defensive back 7 of TCU closes down on receivers. I mean, as soon as the ball's caught, they're getting hit.
The TCU, and here comes Deontay Foreman rumbling for the first down. Well, Gary Patterson made the point. It was week 4 last year when they gave up 61, blew the big lead at Baylor, their only loss of the year. He said, so maybe it was just a week 4 thing again for us this year up at Lubbock. And that's a very tough Texas Tech team to play. Tough place to play, and a very talented offense coached by Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, they can put points on the board, and Texas Tech's defense struggles mightily also.
Interesting, Texas with 2 timeouts, decent field position, didn't even use them. And it's halftime. Stay tuned for the Cooper Tires halftime report after these messages. Homecoming weekend, and a happy homecoming here on the campus of TCU as we check out the halftime double check brought to you by State Farm. What jumps out at me, Chris, is it was almost a 2-to-1 advantage in time of possession for Texas. TCU had the ball for only 10.5 minutes and scored 37 points. We talked about the playmakers they have on offense at the start of the telecast, and they were on full display in the first half.
Yeah, it's a testimony to their execution, and Boykin leading the way, seeing receivers, understanding where to go with the football. They have a running game when they want to use it, and they just use it to keep people off balance, and it was a perfectly executed game plan for the first half against this young Texas defense.
The Texas team that has a lot of work to do showed signs of progress in recent weeks, but very little to hang your hat on if you're Texas in that first half. They will get the ball first to begin the second half.
If you're Charlie Strong, you look at effort, execution, and guys still giving their all, and coaches coaching their all. I've been in these situations when you're getting hammered. You got to refocus and play a second half as a separate game.
Chris Boyd back deep for the kickoff. And it's another touchback for Jaden Oberchrome. Here's Todd McShay.
Well, Sean, Josh Dotson, the wide receiver for TCU, continues to be the story. 6 catches, 99 yards, 2 touchdowns in the first half. Early on, going up against Holton Hill. Cornerback did a nice job getting there, but couldn't make the play on the ball. That's a unique skill set from Dotson. Then we saw some confusion in the Texas secondary. Double pass from TCU. Go up top again. One thing I thought Texas did a nice job of, they made the adjustment, bringing 21 Duke Thomas, the senior, over, and he was fighting him at the end of the half, getting physical with Dotson. I'm interested to see that matchup, a matchup that we thought that Texas should have gone with very early and from the beginning, really, with the senior cornerback matching up against the best wide receiver for TCU.
Yeah. You know, the thing, too, was the NFL scouts, as they look at Dotson, does he play off the ball? And he did there.
Bird's throw incomplete. He had a man open, Andrew Beck, a tight end, and he just missed him.
Well, Beck stopped. Bird was throwing the corner route, and Beck hooked it up. Now, I thought Beck was correct on that because there was a corner waiting for Beck at the corner route, and he's got to read that together. This is playing together and playing more.
Jonathan Gray trying to weave his way through the traffic. Got a hard-earned 2 yards. Ridwan Isahaku. Third down and 8. Texas up to 110 yards rushing. They're starting to click on third down late in the first half. A blitz, and Hurd gets away. Escaped Montrell Wilson. The first thing Wilson's done wrong today, but finally chased out of bounds by Davion Pearson.
Well, they come with a corner blitz, Nick Orr. They love to do this into the short side of the field. And Wilson misses it because there's an open receiver going to be coming into your pitcher right there. Good pickup by Gray. A good job of Wilson avoiding disaster and protecting the ball and not making a stupid play as far as trying to throw it into coverage. Smart.
Michael Dixon, his best effort. High, booming kick. Fair catch signal for and made by Cavante Turpin. That was a bomb. 57-yard punt by the Australian. Big first half for Trevone Boykin. Became their all-time leader in career touchdown passes thrown. He had 4 in the first half. And now 73 for his career to pass the great Andy Dalton.
He's just effortless when he throws the ball. I mean, that ball's up by his ear and it's gone. And he throws the ball and puts it in position where his receivers can make the transition from catch to run with ease.
Also broke Dalton's record for touchdowns responsible for. Boykin takes off running and runs out of bounds at the 45-yard line. Chased across the sideline by Dylan Haynes, 24 yards on the play.
And you start to forget sometimes that Boykin is such an electrifying athlete. He has this ability to run the zone read option, get outside. They just don't have to use it as much anymore because he's so proficient running the offense. Also very smart to get out of bounds there.
It'll be interesting to see how TCU plays it. Of course, they narrowly missed being among the 4 teams in the college football playoff last year. So every chance to enhance your resume is an important one. Dotson the catch. He's at the Texas 25-yard line with Duke Thomas and Dylan Haynes nearby, but it was Dotson making the catch.
Well, Duke Thomas bid on a double move and a good sell by Dotson. And I love the ability to be able to adjust your hips in the air for a 6'3" man. It's essential for a productive receiver in the next level to do that.
7th catch of the day for Dotson. Now Aaron Green. He's down near the first down marker at the 15-yard line, pulled down by Dylan Haynes.
Yeah, I said earlier, I think he's the best in the country, Dotson, that is, at going up and attacking the ball in the air. His ball skills, I really believe that. Studying all the receivers, some of the great receivers we've seen live so far this year, I haven't seen anybody better in the country that in terms of going up and attacking that ball at its highest point.
Yeah, he snatches it, doesn't he? He's not a chest catcher.
Exactly.
Chest catchers when it bounces off your shoulder pads and you get unnecessary drops.
Pistol now with Aaron Green behind Boykin. Green running right. Stood up inside the 12-yard line. Dotson grew up right down the street. His mother, Tracy Seiler Jones, is TCU's vice chancellor for marketing and communications. Josh Dotson used to come to the games here as a young boy. He was among the bleacher creatures, the young fans who'd run out with the team to start the game, but he wasn't recruited out of high school. Went to Wyoming for 1 football season. Came home to go to a junior college and then wound up walking on here. They're glad he did. Turpin continues to have an enormous day. His 4th touchdown of the game.
Well, it's recognition of pre-snap. When you have Nashawn Hughes, who's a linebacker, trying to guard number 25 Turpin, it's a mismatch. And that's where Boykin has really excelled his game from last year to this year, is the pre-snap reads and throwing a high catchable ball, taking advantage of a running back lined up on a linebacker. No match.
Jade Oberchrome for the extra point. They went 78 yards in just 5 plays in 1 minute and 48 seconds. And the extra point makes it 44-0. 5 receptions, 4 of them wound up in the end zone. Celebrating its 11th year, sponsoring the Good Hands field goal nets. Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kicked. To date, Allstate has contributed millions in scholarship funds.
Bon Jovi fans here in Frogland.
$44-0 for the Frogs. Overthrown's kickoff down to Chris Boyd. And he got upended at the 15-yard line. Rico Evans with excellent special teams coverage for TCU.
Another true freshman contributor.
Well, last year in Austin it was 48-10. Today it's 44-0. And it's not a fluke. The talent level at TCU clearly is far superior, Chris. It's almost shocking still how few playmakers there are on offense for Texas. When you look at this Texas offense, who out there really scares you if you're the other team playing defense?
Well, he's on the bench because he got hurt early, and that was Deshae Johnson. But other than that, there's really not a lot of explosive guys, and where TCU has about 7 of them coming at you 7 different ways.
Hurd throwing deep into double coverage, and it's incomplete. Intended for our Monty Foreman. And Todd, that's been the case for a while. You know, year after year we were used to Texas having a lot of players drafted and drafted high. That hasn't been happening much lately.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's really on the offensive side, as you're mentioning, has been the biggest difference when you look at the lack of first rounders in the last 5 years, the lack of first and second rounders. Haven't had an offensive guy drafted in the first round at the quarterback position since Vince Young. It really is remarkable how big of a drop-off when you go back the last 10 years. Look at those first 5 from 2006 to 2010, and then from 2011 till this past draft. Such a huge difference in drop-off in talent, and we're seeing it on the field. We've seen it on the field really for the last couple of years.
If you're going to play in the Big 12, you need skill, and if you're young skill, you can't wait for them anymore. What, does TCU wait for their young skill? No, their young skill's playing, and you got to get to that level if you're Texas to get back to where Texas should be.
Tyrone Swoops in a quarterback now. They used him last week in short yardage situations. Of course, Jay Norvell was at Oklahoma when they had Blake Bell running the Belldozer, and Swoops is being used now in that role. He was the starting quarterback last year in the first game of this year, so they're keeping him involved, and to his credit, he's maintained a very positive team attitude.
And they'll develop a little bit of a passing game out of that formation, because that's 4 carries for Swoops out of that for about 53 yards or 43 yards on the year.
Hurd back in there. And that's what he can do, like few other quarterbacks in the country. Terrific runner. Marked out at the 49-yard line. 17 yards, first down.
Well, he's an explosive player, but you know, when your most consistent play is a quarterback scramble, and you're counting on that to move the football, you're going to struggle. I mean, and they are struggling because they don't have any explosive guys making plays.
Ty Summers, little wrestling tackle, pick him up and slam him to the turf. That reminds me of Chris Spielman.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I ever did this, because this is stout number 42 right here. He's going to come into your pitcher. Watch it, head up, eyes up, wrap up, 1 step and wrap, 2 steps and squeeze, and finish with attitude. Good attitude, outstanding play.
Come right back to Deontay Foreman. Tripped up by Aaron Curry, another transfer from Nebraska, like Aaron Green. I was starting to say, Chris, to me the staggering thing about those numbers, the very few players drafted, particularly the skill players, you know, all the talent in the state of Texas for so many decades. The best players who grew up in the University of Texas, in the state of Texas, wanted to go to the University of Texas, and they would say, well, we don't really recruit, we select. Well, they're not getting the best players now. They're going to places like TCU and A&M for a variety of reasons. Baylor, of course.
Well, on that point, Sean, I mean, they have to do a job of identifying, first of all, what they want to be offensively, what they want to be defensively, identify that talent pool, then you go select. Now, what he has to do with his staff, Charlie Strong, is once that talent gets here, they have to develop that young talent. So you take 4- and 5-star recruits, and by their 3rd year, which will be next year for him, they have to start playing to a high level. If not, they're not getting the job done. It's that simple.
Timeout called by TCU. And we'll step aside as well with 9:28 remaining in the 3rd quarter, and the Horned Frogs leading 44-0.
ESPN's College Football on ABC. Brought to you by the Restyled Accord from Honda. And Act Advanced kills 99% of plaque germs for a fresh, clean mouth.
Well, many have taken the homecoming activities out to the parking lot on this Sunsplash Day. At halftime, Mr. and Mrs. TCU 2015 were announced, and the winners were Abby Maynard and Caleb Ashbrook. They're not homecoming king and queen here. They're Mr. and Mrs. TCU 2015. Abby is from beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona, and Caleb is from San Diego. Congratulations to them. Michael Dixon's punt goes into the end zone. Well, the big game of the weekend is tonight on ABC. From soggy Death Valley, the weather certain to be a factor as number 6 Notre Dame visits 12th ranked Clemson. That's at 8 o'clock tonight, 5 Pacific. Saturday Night Football on ABC presented by Wells Fargo. Over the last 2 seasons, Notre Dame is 0-4 in true road games against AP ranked opponents. 2 outstanding quarterbacks in that game. First time they'll play since 1979. They finished a home-and-home series. They played in 77 and 79. 1977, Joe Montana brought Notre Dame from behind to win at Clemson. They went on that year to win the national championship. Aaron Green on first down for the Horned Frogs. Wrestled down by Bryce Cottrell after a gain of 8.
Kaiser is amazing about recruiting. We were just talking about it a few minutes ago. Notre Dame loses a quarterback. Ever Golson to Florida State. Malik Zaire gets hurt. It's the next guy up, and the next guy up is not too young. It doesn't matter. He produces and performs, and he's the biggest reason why Notre Dame is where it's sitting so far this season.
Aaron Green again gets the first down, and we send you back to Cassidy for a studio update.
Thanks, Sean. Number 22, Michigan taking on Maryland after a Terrapins turnover. Screen pass from Jake Rudock to Drake Johnson. 31-yard touchdown. The first TD of the game. They got the 2-point conversion, so Wolverines up 14-0. Sean?
And earning more and more believers by the week. That game was actually moved up the starting time today to noon because of that weather on the East Coast.
And I thought 22 was a little low for Michigan. I can see them really in 10 to 15 range.
Looked like a problem, and it remains a problem as Aaron Green spins down at the 30-yard line, chased by Jason Hall. Well, this is unusual. 86th meeting between Texas and TCU. And since 1958, TCU has lost 18 of its last 19 home games to Texas. The only TCU home win in that entire stretch was in 1992. This has a chance to be TCU's biggest win ever against Texas, home or away. Jarrison Stewart the catch. Holton Hill made the tackle. Rivalry began in 1897. TCU routed the Horns last year, and now they're trying to beat them in back-to-back meetings for the first time since the late 50s. Texas 18-1 in the last 19 at TCU.
Impressive.
From the 46, Aaron Green stays in bounds, and clearly TCU with this 44-0 lead slowing down the pace of the offense.
And with that lead, I'm taking out Boykin. This is his last series. I want to keep him healthy. You get your backup some quality reps. LT says selfies. Beautiful family.
They're going to stay and enjoy the beautiful weather and this TCU route over Texas. And LT was really here when it started to turn. Dennis Franchione, the previous head coach, certainly deserves a large share of the credit. He got it turning in the right direction. Gary Patterson was his defensive coordinator. They made Gary the head coach after Franchione left for Alabama. And he's become TCU's all-time winningest coach. Pretty good year in 2014. 10 National Coach of the Year awards. Of course, one of those was Mrs. Patterson's.
Yes, she
has her own Coach of the Year award, but they all count at some point or another. Boykin over the middle. Incomplete. Intended for Cavante Turpin, who's had an otherwise amazing day.
Coach Patterson was saying, yeah, Mrs. Patterson, she loves Gary Patterson. Not too sure what to think about Coach Patterson at times, but that's the way it is when you marry a coach.
Well, here's how detailed coaches are in playing their schedule. They have date night every Thursday, and he sets aside an hour and 15 minutes for Mrs. Patterson.
Well, they know what they marry.
Ethan Perry's punt takes a great bounce for the Frogs, and they'll down it at the 8-yard line. 6:24 to go, third quarter. LaDainian Tomlinson and his family enjoying a beautiful day in Fort Worth. This week on ESPN's Monday Night Football, Matthew Stafford and the Detroit Lions take on Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. That's at 8:15 Eastern Time. Also live on Watch ESPN. Chris Spielman's former team, the Lions, dire need of a win at 0-3.
And they're in dire need of a running game to help Matthew Stafford, Calvin Johnson, Golden Tate get that offense going.
First down Texas. The Longhorns from their own 8-yard line. Jonathan Gray, a yard, perhaps two, before he got flattened by Travon Howard.
You know, we talked about combination coverage. They're always going to have numbers. There's 3-on-2 right there, as you can see, and 2-on-1. Now, instead of playing zone, Sean, they turn their zone into man. Number 20 right there, Montreal Wilson's going to run right to the football, and they always have a 2-on-1 situation, and they trust their safeties to take anything deep, and they take away all underneath routes with combination coverage.
Trying to set up a little screen, and Hurd's pass incomplete in the direction of Armonte Foreman. So, of course, there was a lot of angst here, Chris, despite the dramatic win for TCU last week in Lubbock, about the defense. Uncharacteristically bad, especially the previous 2 weeks. SMU gave them a hard time as well. Is it back to what you expect from TCU defense, or is it that Texas is so inept on offense?
No,
a combination of both.
I mean, Texas struggles certainly, but I think TCU is executing at a high level, and their young players are starting to get it and having defensive tackles. Pearson back, Tua'ua back as a defensive end, getting a little bit more defensive line, and they're stout against the run, which allows you to use that 7 guys in coverage and use your combination coverage back there with that. And he's coaching it, and they're getting it.
Well, you did get Mike Tua'ua back this week. He did not play in the previous 3 games. He and a wide receiver, Andre Pettis-Wilson, were arrested a few weeks ago on suspicion of robbery charges with bodily injury. They were facing felony charges. They're alleged to have stolen a case of beer from their fellow TCU students, and a little physical to do so, but the charges were dropped because the alleged victims did not want to pursue the case. So they are back on the field.
And they're additions that are needed, and he's a good player that brings a little bit of speed off the corner.
And Coach Patterson says he's also a good person and a team leader who made a mistake. I was going to make a disparaging comment about the brand of beer. If you're going to rough somebody up, you might want to go for a... But then again, everybody's a potential advertiser, so let's not offend anybody. From the 45-yard line, 1st and 10. Trevone Boykin. Long throw, right on target. Tony James the catch for a 1st down. Here's Cassidy.
All right, Sean, number 2, Michigan State in a close one with Purdue. Strong man run by Markel Jones, 68 yards to pay dirt, cutting Michigan State's lead to 7. They did just add a field goal in the 4th. This game over on ESPN2.
It's amazing when you get into conference. I mean, just players play with more confidence. Like Purdue probably plays with more confidence when they play Michigan State than they do when they play a MAC school, for example. Their level of execution rises to the competition that you're playing.
Either that or Michigan State's has dropped down to the level of the competition they're playing today.
Very well could be the case.
Do you think Michigan State is the 2nd best team in the country?
I do. I don't think there's one dominant team or that's playing dominant, but I think Michigan State can certainly make an argument because I think their quarterback is really good and their receivers are starting to catch up with Connor Cook.
We're back at Damon G. Carter Stadium in Fort Worth, Texas on homecoming. TCU leading 44-0 over Texas. On 1st down and 10, a low throw intended for Tony James is incomplete.
That's the first throw that I've seen where his footwork a little messed up, Todd.
You referenced it earlier, Chris. I'm surprised that Boykin's still in at this point. For a team that there's 6 guys out on defense, 4 on offense, they've had so many injuries and suspensions. And he's the glue. He's everything for this offense and for this football team. 44-0, 4:30 left. I'm surprised he's still in.
Yeah, and get him out and get your backup in for quality reps. Protect him at all costs.
Devontae Turpin tackled by Peter Jenkins. I disagree. I think TCU narrowly missed being in the college football playoff last year. Style points are important. You have a Heisman Trophy candidacy underway in Boykin. It's under old sets of circumstances. I mean, Sean, but in today's college football,
44-0. I think we've proven the point.
No, I don't think they have. When teams are putting 60 and 70 points up every week, there's a bigger point to be proven.
Certainly his mindset, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Boykin gets away from the rush. Now he should slide and get down, especially after he has the 1st down. Holden Hill made the tackle, but it's at the 30-yard line. It's a 7-yard gain, and it's a 1st down.
Got an injured Horned Frog right around the 42-yard line. He does carry that now. I mean, I'm looking at a scouting report, so just watching that replay of Boykin, the one thing you want to do as a defensive coordinator getting ready, relay to your team as they progress through the season that he gets loose with that football when he runs. There's separation between that body, and so that's something you can plan for. I mean, we're nitpicking because I think he's a tremendous college football player, but one area you might want to improve is just protect the ball when he's running downfield.
The left tackle, Vaitai, injured on the play. Alapulavati Vaitai, Big V, as he's known and will remain known on our telecast at least. Alapulavati is a tough name to pronounce.
Yeah, it is.
And I think I just went 1 for 2 pronouncing it.
It sounded good to me. Just say it fast.
Just say it fast and with conviction.
That's what all our Samoan players that we get to speak to, they tell us, well, how do you pronounce it? And they just, if you struggle with it, just say it fast. It'll come out right.
Sonny Cumbie, the offensive coordinator, co-coordinator, told us they all call him Big V, so Big V it is. Aaron Green, driven back by Paul Boyette Jr., who sees time as the backup along the defensive front. Boykin 364 total yards today, and Texas 198 as a team, and that's a reflection of the season coming in. He had more yards of total offense per game as an individual than Texas had as a team entering today's game. Running again And I'm starting to come over to your side. Get him out of the game before he takes one of those hits.
Hey, McDonough, you still want him in?
I just said that.
Okay.
As usual, Todd, you just don't listen. You're so eager to prove me wrong.
But you deal with criticism really well.
What?
Well, I think if the committee watches the film at this point in the game, they'll say there's plenty of style points, but you have to be smart and get him out and protect him, because one of these things, a frustrated Texas player might take a shot, not a dirty shot, but a hard shot.
Hicks rumbles into the end zone, touchdown. I think the other point too is, I mean, you've established, oh, there's a holding penalty. This
Offense,
is coming back.
Number 65, 10-yard penalty, first down.
You've established over the last several years that you're a much better football team than the University of Texas. You want to keep establishing that in the minds of recruits. We're still near the top of the heap. They hope they'll be at the top of the heap. They're a national championship aspiring team. Texas looks like they're still down. You're going after the same recruits right now. Reinforce the message.
Yeah, well, what you're saying is not TCU's job to stop TCU. It's Texas' job to stop them. But along those lines, you know how important those guys have to go after the same guys. You're right. That could be a factor.
Boykin throws incomplete for Desmond White. Dylan Haynes had the coverage. Well, I think there's no question TCU is one of the best offensive teams in the country. The big sigh of relief here today will be that the defense looks like it's back, despite the staggering number of injuries that we chronicled earlier, to a team that was already going to be young and inexperienced on defense before the injuries piled up.
And I think you can lean that way. The verdict is still out for me, because they have to play an offense that's capable of putting up a lot of points like Texas Tech to see if they truly improve. Now, putting a goose egg up on Texas late into the third quarter, that's signs of improvement, but they struggled with teams like Texas Tech that jacked the ball down the field and over the top.
Turpin takes a little swing. His 4 touchdown receptions, by the way, today is the single game TCU record. All by himself. He's the first to have 4 touchdown receptions in a game. And he's doing it in the 5th game of his college career. Freshman, just 5'9", 150 pounds, from Monroe, Louisiana, who had 8 catches all year coming in.
We've got him lined up on a linebacker one-on-one. Let's see if Boykin identifies.
Boykin to the far side of the field. And then 3rd down and 10, they get 9 as Jalen Austin fell down before he had a chance to make the move. They're giving him a very favorable spot, and it looks like the official on the far sideline saying it's even a 1st down.
But there's I know Todd will like this when he breaks Trevone down later, but the arm speed and the velocity of that football from the far hash to the sidelines with the favorable spot.
First and goal. Kyle Hicks. And a touchdown taken away a moment ago on the holding penalty. They're trying to get him back in the end zone. Peter Jenkins the stop. And we're down to a minute left in the 3rd quarter. TCU leading 44-0.
You talked about, Chris, the evaluation of the NFL, and there's a long way to go, obviously, but he's come a long way. When you look at the mental makeup, well above average, smart football player who's picked up everything Sonny Cumbie's thrown at him. The accuracy above average, arm strength release B-. There you go. You always have a grade.
There's the arm strength as he fires a laser beam into the end zone that Tony James couldn't catch.
Again, let me remind everyone before McDonough and Spielman get a hold of this, as they usually do. We're comparing against the best of the best and first-round NFL prospects. So with the arm strength still above average, and pocket mobility, probably his greatest strength as a former wide receiver. It's a dynamic athlete.
Are you surprised, Todd, from his accuracy so far this year?
Yeah, compared to last year, I think it's better. And I think a lot of it has to do with timing, getting the ball out and just knowing the offense better than he did a year ago when he first picked it up.
On 3rd and goal, he throws and it's dropped. Jarrison Stewart had a touchdown right in his hands. There goes the Heisman Trophy for Boykin.
Well, the difference is between Dotson and Jarrison Stewart. We've talked about it. There's chest catchers, where you let the ball get into your chest, as opposed to Dotson, which is a snatcher. He goes out and snatches the ball.
Jaden Oberchrome comes on to try a field goal. His first attempt of the day. He's made 62 field goals in his career. That's the most among any field goal kicker in the country. This 23-yarder makes it 47-0. Boykin would have thrown 6 touchdown passes. Stewart dropped it. They settled for the field goal. And we look at this week's Associated Press college football rankings, brought to you by Capital One. Chris's alma mater gets underway at 3:30 Eastern time, either on ABC or ESPN2, depending on what part of the country you live in. Purdue hanging in there with Michigan State. The rest of the action is later on, including tonight on ABC, Notre Dame and Clemson. But do you think that the top 4 right now is the way it should be, with Ohio State, Michigan State, Ole Miss, and TCU?
Yeah, and I think it's early, so you can flip those around. Ohio State, because of what they did last year and the talent that they have back and they're winning, I think earns the #1 spot. People ask me about the Buckeyes because, you know, they struggled a few games, but I maintain that they're ahead this year further than they were last year at this point in time. It's offensively where their struggles are. Urban has settled on Cardale Jones as a starter, and let's see if they can get their rhythm going.
Chris Boyd, that stood up at the 19-yard line. The last year Ohio State really improved dramatically as the season went along. This year they came in as a unanimous #1. And you think some of it might just be complacency?
I think it really was trying to play 2 quarterbacks and not settling in on one, and I think it made them a little uncomfortable. Now the offensive line is starting to play a little bit better. The receivers have come around. And the other thing, he was 4th in our Heisman balloting right there. Ezekiel Elliott really hasn't gotten it going. He's had 100 yards, but I think there's been a lack of explosive plays. But the other team, I mean, there's so much parity in college football, which, you know, I love. I mean, what Notre Dame's doing is special to me.
Hurd launching one deep, and it's a little bit too deep for John Burt.
It's special in this sense that you're playing with your 3rd quarterback. C.J. Prosise is a converted wide receiver. Their defense is better. They play a very difficult schedule, and they seem to answer the bell. Now, can they maintain? Only time answers that question, but they're on the right track.
Tyrone Swoops is in at quarterback. Swings it out wide for Marcus Johnson.
They asked us this week on College Football Live. It was actually an interesting exercise. If you were just dropped on the planet for the month of September and could only watch those games, which would be your 4 teams? You knew nothing about Ohio State and talent level and all that. And I said Ole Miss, Notre Dame, UCLA, and I threw in Utah too, just based purely off of what we've seen so far.
And there's a testimony to the parity. I mean, Utah, nobody sees on a regular basis, or they're out west or late games. They're a fine football team, both offensively and defensively.
On to the 4th quarter here at Amon G. Carter Stadium. Temperature now in the mid-70s. Beautiful day. The stadium about half empty, with the outcome no longer in doubt. That was determined a long time ago. The only question now is, will this be the biggest TCU win ever against Texas? Start of the 4th quarter, the Longhorns with the ball, 3rd down and 5 at their own 24. Tyrone Swoops running for his life, throws it up for grabs. John Burt, the intended receiver, then it's 4th down.
I want to go back to your point about the lack of explosiveness of skill positions for Texas. It's evident because there's no separation being created between the skilled players of Texas and the secondary or the back 7 of TCU.
And Texas had a good recruiting class. They won some key battles. Charlie Strong and his staff still trying to establish themselves in the state of Texas. Michael Dixon's punt, fair catch made by Cavante Turpin. 43-yard kick. Here's Cassidy.
All right, Sean, elsewhere in the Big 12, after West Virginia cut it to 3, Oklahoma answers. Baker Mayfield to Deron Neal, 71 yards. Mayfield with 3 TD passes on the day. Oklahoma up 34-24 to start the fourth.
Heading toward a matchup with Texas next week are the Sooners at the Cotton Bowl. As we go to the fourth quarter, then TCU on offense for the first time in the fourth. Graham Kohlhausen is the new quarterback, senior from Houston. Well, Trevone Boykin's day is over. Boris Johnson is the running back, taking advantage of his opportunity to deliver a couple of blows along the way to a 14-yard gain. Conference play really just getting started. Oklahoma and West Virginia, their first conference games of the season.
Anxious to see Baylor playing against some pretty good competition against Texas Tech after our ball game.
Johnson again across midfield. Hassan Ridgway made the tackle. Trevone Boykin, 20 out of 35 passing for 332 and 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. Could have easily had a 6th touchdown pass. It was dropped in the end zone by Jarrison Stewart. He also ran for 52 yards on just 7 carries. Kohlhausen out in the flat. Dominic Merca upended by P.J. Locke. It's just the 2nd catch of the season by a tight end for TCU. Both have gone to Merca, senior from Crosby, Texas, who's already graduated from TCU. That's good for a 15-yard gain.
Actually, the 3rd-rated quarterback in the state of Texas coming out, and like Gary Patterson, he likes to recruit skilled players and put them at the position he foresees them.
Boris Johnson again inside the 30. Bryce Cottrell to tackle. The coaches are high on the new quarterback Kohlhausen. If something were to happen to Boykin, they believe he could move them down the field and win games. He originally started out at the University of Houston. When he did not win the quarterback battle, he left, went to a junior college, L.A. Harbor, and then arrived here at TCU. Doug Meacham, the co-offensive coordinator, had been at Houston. He's familiar with Kohlhausen. Good arm. More of a pro-style quarterback, not as much of a runner as Boykin. Good news for both teams today. The penalties down dramatically from a week ago.
False start. Offense, number 52. 5-yard penalty, 2nd out.
Elliott with a jump.
It's the 5th TCU penalty. Texas flagged 16 times last week, called for only 2 today.
I watched him throw the ball in practice on Thursday. He delivers a nice ball. They also have transfer Kenny Hill from Texas A&M on this roster, who's a dynamic player himself. Good competition next year.
Johnson trying to get outside to the right. He's out of bounds at the 29-yard line. Well, it's interesting. We're talking to Gary Patterson last night. Sonny Cumbie, co-offensive coordinator, about this offense. And they both said the same thing, which is everybody runs this offense. And you almost know on defense what's coming, so it's just a matter of who can run it better. Can our athletes out-execute your athletes?
And that's what they do. And I would submit to Sonny and Doug Meacham, the other offensive coordinator, you got to have the trigger man. I mean, Trevone Boykin runs this offense as well as anybody that I've watched.
And the receivers can beat the defenders man-to-man coverage. Preston Miller, the intended receiver.
It's all about getting guys in space and matchups. I mean, we saw that today. We saw the matchup where Boykin recognized Turpin one-on-one with the defensive end, Nashawn Hughes, and it's just seeing and identifying and putting those players in position to be successful, and they do. Then they execute, they finish. There's no almost for TCU.
Jaden Oberkron, they'd like to build his confidence back up. He had a rough week last week at Texas Tech, had a short field goal blocked. He was wide right on another one from just 25 yards. Flag before the kick.
Disconcerting signals. Defense, number 21, jamming the offense's signals. That's a 5-yard penalty. It'll still be 4th down.
I've never heard that one before.
Well, I'll try to discern what disconcerting means. Would be sometimes the defensive lineman might want to try to get that snap by the center, so they'll simulate some type of snap count. That's my best guess. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but it seems like with the luck that Texas is having, they'll get a call that we've never heard of before.
And now a 41-yard try. Mentioned he struggled lately, but from 40+ in his career, 70.6%. Only Alex Henry of Nebraska and Phil Dawson of Texas more accurate beyond 40 yards, and they both have gone on to the NFL. .11:31 to go here in Fort Worth. Here's our Pacific Life game summary. It is 50-0 in favor of TCU. Boykin played 3 quarters, 384 yards of total offense, 5 touchdown passes. School record 4 touchdown receptions for Cavante Turpin, the true freshman. And your typical day from Josh Dotson, 7 catches, 129, 2 touchdowns. Oberkron kicks off, and no chance for Chris Boyd to return it. And now today's good hands play, brought to you by Allstate.
It's just all about being a veteran and understanding how to use your hands. The left hand right here is going to slow down the momentum of Hill, the defensive back, just creating enough separation, knocking the DB off balance for Dotson to go up and make a great play and snatch the ball at its highest point.
Stadium about half full now. With the route on, if it stays this way, it'll be the biggest win ever for TCU over Texas. Tyrone Swoops remains the quarterback. Montrell Wilson pushes him out of bounds. I want to go back to the conversation we started about Charlie Strong. When he came to Louisville, that was a program that was down. They were 15-21 the 3 years before he got there. 7-6 and 7-6 the first 2 years, then 23-3 in years 3 and 4 combined, including a Sugar Bowl win that we called against Florida. And it's a similar situation here. It's going to take a little time to build it up. Had to take some people out of the program last year for disciplinary reasons. And now he has the recruiting challenge. It's not as easy as it used to be at Texas because A&M has come on. They're in the SEC now. That's appealing to some recruits, and that's an advantage A&M didn't have before. Obviously, Baylor and TCU much better now than they've been through most of the last many decades. There's more competition to get the best players to come to your school in this state. Flag down as the pass is incomplete for Marcus Johnson. But I think we both believe in Charlie Strong.
Well, I definitely believe in Charlie Strong. And he's
eligible downfield offense, number 72, 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
He's rebuilding something, and he'll get it done. Now, this will be his 3rd year next year, so these young players, there's going to be improvement. You got to coach them hard, and you got to get them to play at a level that you expect them to play. I think the one thing he needs to take control of, and maybe he has, I don't know, they need to establish who they are offensively, and identity, and an identity on defense, because there's too many mental errors in the back end, Sean, and that's why we're seeing all these balls going over their head.
Well, again, a lot of young players.
Yep.
Trying to coach up guys who really shouldn't be playing if you had more veteran talent ahead of them. Jonathan Gray runs for a first down. They have made the switch on offense. It came to the realization after 1 year. They were successful as a coaching staff at Louisville running a West Coast offense. But when you're recruiting primarily in this state, and almost every high school in this state is playing the spread offense, and you're bringing in players who are used to doing that, why not play that way? Make that transition easier. That's the conclusion they came to, but this is year 1 of that transition. Right. Gray stopped for a loss of about a half a yard.
Well, here's the other problem, guys. Everyone else is kind of running laps around them in terms of recruiting, which is shocking to say, but you got Texas A&M, they're scoring big with Kevin Sumlin. Baylor's putting up 50, 60 points a week. You know, no longer kids growing up in Texas saying, man, I've got to be a Longhorn. That's the goal. That's the end goal. It's just not the case anymore.
Well, I think, and to Sean's point, Todd, is the fact that if you go to this spread, then you can start getting into certain quarterbacks that want to go play in the spread offense.
Absolutely.
Throw the ball 50 times and, oh, by the way, we'll run it. And they have that with Gerard Wilson. But also, I think where they're lacking a little bit, and they're young and they'll grow and get better, is on the outside with their skill players like TCU that to get the ball in space, they make people miss and they create separation when they're covered.
After the swoops run, it's 3rd down and 7. He throws to Monty Foreman. He's going to be short of the first down by about a yard. They'll go for it on 4th down and 1.
I guess my point is just because they're playing a lot of good freshmen doesn't mean that they're the best freshmen in the country any longer just because they went to Texas, you know. So we'll see as these guys develop, and they looked a lot better on tape than I expected, and today they came out and did everything they possibly could in terms of the little things wrong and played horribly on special teams, so they had no shot. But I don't see the elite perimeter players like they once had.
Look out. Swoops has a lot of work to do, and he won't do it. Wrestled out of bounds on the far sideline, and they turn it over on downs. Montrell Wilson, another tackle. Denzel Johnson in on the stop for TCU. And you know they want a shutout on that Horned Frog sideline.
ESPN's College Football on ABC. Brought to you by Pacific Life. For life insurance, annuities, and investments, choose Pacific Life, the power to help you succeed. And Nissan, premier partner of the Heisman Trophy.
There's a look at the Nissan Heisman House tour display just outside the stadium here in Fort Worth today. He'll be making 6 more stops during the regular season before heading to the Orange Bowl and then the national championship game. The next stop is October 10th, LSU at South Carolina. Chris, this is my first time to this stadium since they renovated it within the last couple of years, and boy, beautiful. It is magnificent.
Weight room, indoor facility, outstanding.
$164 million, all of it from private donation. Forrest Johnson, the ball carrier, out to the 45. The last time I was here too, it was about 10 degrees for a bowl game between Marshall and Cincinnati.
Mental toughness test for you, wasn't it?
About the coldest I've ever been at a football game. A little bit different today on this perfect day. TCU, by the way, now has scored 50 points in 4 straight games. They had not scored 50 in 3 straight games before they got to that last week up at Texas Tech, and now 4 games in a row of 50 plus. Graham Kohlhausen, the backup quarterback, still in there. He dove across the line of scrimmage. Quincy Vassar, junior from Nyack, New York, made the tackle. Here's Cassidy.
Number 2, Michigan State on the ropes, up 3. Purdue with a chance. 4th down. David Blau. Incomplete to Gregory Phillips. Michigan State survives the upset bid 24-21. Not the case in Madison. 4th down. Joel Stave. No dice. Iowa upsets number 19 Wisconsin 10-6 to take the Heartland Trophy.
Hawkeyes 5-0.
How about that? Kohlhausen runs. Brecken Hager runs him down. Son of Britt Hager, great All-American at Texas, played in the NFL, still the all-time leading tackler. Brecken's brother Bryce, fine linebacker at Baylor in recent years. 4th down and 4, and TCU will punt.
It's a family of linebackers. I produced defensive tackles. He produced linebackers. It's, of course, Wheaton taking on North Park today.
Led by Noah Spielman.
Yes, sir. Wheaton College. Go Thunder. Thunder Vision. My next job.
Well, Iowa undefeated. Ethan Perry. There you can see if Cassidy get us some cut-ins from that Wheaton game today.
ThunderVision.com.
Nice job by Perry. Timeout with 6:40 to go. College football action continues this afternoon at 3:30 Eastern. Number 1 Ohio State in Bloomington to take on the 4-0 Indiana Hoosiers. Texas Tech takes on 5th-ranked Baylor in what is certain to be a shootout. Both games available nationally on either ABC or ESPN2, and also streaming live on Watch ESPN. 1st and 10 Texas. Deontay Foreman on the delay. First down to the 21-yard line, chased out by Corey O'Mealy. Well, 19 miles away. Look from earlier today inside AT&T Stadium. Many more folks in there now, getting close to the kickoff for Texas Tech and Baylor.
Somebody's got to step up and play some defense in that game.
That's the team that makes the most plays on defense will win. You would think that would be the case. Both offenses are prolific. Long throw by Swoops. John Burt the catch.
It's almost one of those games like a tennis match where whoever holds serves. We were talking about that. That's how Coach Patterson felt last week in their game against Texas Tech.
Personal foul, face mask, defense, number 91. That 15-yard penalty will be added on to the end of the pass.
Burt seemed upset as if the penalty was going to go against Texas. But it's on L.J. Colliers, a 3rd-string defensive end, redshirt freshman, and they're getting some experience. And Gary Patterson all fired up on the sideline. Clearly he wants the shutout. He runs the defense, calls the defenses. He said when we visited with him yesterday, hey, it might be one of those years where we have to outscore people. For most of the time I've been here, we've won the close, low-scoring, one-possession games. In this football day and age, you might have to win the shootouts. In the end zone and a flag thrown. DeAndre McNeil, the intended receiver, he's been earning more and more time with his play in practice. Another true freshman. It could be a wide receiver or a tight end. They're sorting that out. And Julius Lewis had the
Pass
coverage.
Interference. Offense, number 6.
And it's on McNeil.
15-yard penalty. First down.
This is a good call. Lewis is going to grab the shoulder. And again, it's just young players trying to make plays, and potentially Texas does have those playmakers. It's just a matter of them getting dialed into this type of offense that they're committing to, and they're a year away. I mean, there are signs for Charlie Strong, and you'll see that, but they're a year away. There's the shutout you go for as a head coach, especially as a defensive head coach and / coordinator. Those are so important for the morale of your team and the confidence, because this defense was struggling with confidence.
It ended this way with Matchley's 2nd biggest shutout loss ever suffered by Texas. The biggest win for TCU against the Longhorns was 46-0. That was back in the 50s. And TCU had an outstanding football team. 1956, 46-0 win. 2nd down and 19. For the end zone again for Burt. Lots of hand fighting there and a flag thrown. And that pass interference is going against TCU. Corey O'Mealy, Michael Downing had the coverage.
Pass interference. Defense, number 2. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
I just want to make a point about Gary Patterson. In practice on Thursday, he was telling O'Mealy, do not look back for the ball because there was separation created. Right there, he lost track of the wide receiver by looking back for the ball, and it ended up running into him. But that's a coaching point that he emphasized directly to Mealy on Thursday, who's a junior college transfer that's a pretty good corner, but he demands and presses his guys so hard in practice, and he usually gets a positive result.
Larry said O'Mealy runs a 4.340. but he plays like a 4-6 because he's uncertain at times. There's a catch, we think, and a touchdown. Lorenzo Joe.
It's a double move, and he's going to beat Mealy because Mealy gets beat inside and swoops, throws him open, throws to a spot. And Joe, the young receiver, makes a positive catch and secures it through the ground.
So Texas will not be shut out. It remains to be seen if it'll be the largest margin of victory for TCU ever against Texas. 21-yard touchdown pass and a nice drive. They go 93 yards to get on the board. After the Oregon-Colorado game tonight on ESPN, stay tuned for Sports Center at night. They'll bring you the highlights from all of the day's college football action, plus the latest from the Major League Baseball playoff races. Sports Center at night right after the game ends on ESPN, streaming live on Watch ESPN.
My Blue Jays having a great year.
Your Blue Jays. When did they become your Blue Jays? A month ago?
2 weeks ago.
To be honest. You're honest. What I can say for McShay. Turpin downs the kickoff from Rose, and here's Cassidy.
All right, Sean, coming up on ABC or ESPN2, you will see the kickoff of #1 Ohio State and Indiana. Ezekiel Elliott and crew looking to hand the Hoosiers their first loss, and Patrick Mahomes and Texas Tech looking to do the same to #5 Baylor. Again on ABC, ESPN2, or watch ESPN. Sean?
Mahomes' health is a question going into that game. He played valiantly last week against TCU, clearly with an injured leg. He was limping around, but he continued to make plays all the way to the end.
He's a great competitor. Inside receivers, Lauderdale, good player, explosive inside receivers, and something that Texas will try to develop and grow. That's what they need if they're going to commit to this offense.
Boris Johnson took the handoff from Bram Kohlhausen. Got ahead for about a yard. Here's a look at today's AT&T Strong performance. Lot to choose from. And it goes to Devontae Turpin, the true freshman with a single-game TCU record, 4 touchdown receptions.
Sonny Cumbie told us, got to find ways to get him the ball, and they did, and the result was production at a high level. Little guy, but man, does he have a burst.
Targeted him 8 times, he caught 6, 4 wound up in the end zone, 138 yards receiving. Johnson across midfield. There's a flag down back at the 46-yard line.
And get a holding call.
Holding. Offense. Number 11. 10-yard penalty. Second out.
Zach Allen called for the hold.
Talked to Zach at practice on Thursday. Tell your brother about me. I can play quarterback and receiver.
Your brother being Rick Spielman, general manager of the Minnesota Vikings.
I broke the Vikings out this week, 2-1. I can break the head out. Tough game against the Broncos coming up.
You got a lot to keep track of in your family.
I do.
Wheaton, their big game, the Vikings. Johnson again. Will go under 4 minutes to go. Well, how about the top of these rankings now heading into next week? We've seen some movement even when teams have won. TCU started here number 2, 4-0 coming in. They've dropped to 4. Michigan State moved up to 2, largely because of the win against Oregon, which doesn't look as good anymore with what happened to Oregon against Utah. And they barely survived Purdue today. So I'd say see you later, Michigan State, number 2.
Yeah,
TCU moves back up. If Ole
Yeah.
Miss wins, I think against Florida, they'll probably be number 2.
Yeah, and I think it's going to switch so much. Who do you like, Sean? I mean, you're.
Well, I still think Ohio State has the best team. I'm not sure they've played the best, as you said earlier, at this point. But in terms of the talent, they should be better than they were a year ago when they won the national championship. I feel a lot better about TCU after today with the way the defense played, even though Texas is certainly not a powerhouse offensively. They did manage to score 44 against Cal. and 27 last week against Oklahoma State, even with 16 penalties. But I think Ohio State's still the best team. And I think at the end of the year, that TCU Baylor game is going to be huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And who's going to end up having their defense solidified? The other team that is pretty good is LSU. The only question there, can Brandon Harris win him a ball game, the quarterback, if he needs to? Certainly Fournette is I haven't seen the likes of Fournette since the Bo Jackson, Herschel Walker days. And I know that our colleague Kirk Herbstreit was on talking like an Adrian Peterson, just a dominant guy that can run over you or through you or around you.
And Chris, I was talking to a director of college scouting before the game. He said he had just been up visiting with Oklahoma and LSU. And remember, we had that Wisconsin game a year ago. All those guys were freshmen, and they're now sophomores. He said, Fournette's phenomenal. He's as good as everyone thinks. There's like 6, 7 other guys that are first, second rounders if they continue to develop at this rate.
Well, that's always the case, and Les Miles gets it about recruiting. You win with talent. Everybody knows X's and O's. Coaching, the key is recruiting, then developing that talent to play at its highest level and the expectation that is set for them when they get to their certain school.
Colton Christensen getting a couple of carries here late in the game, a senior from Rancho Santa Margarita, California. And Brecken Hager is the injured player for Texas.
Well, at least they're off the knee. That's one thing that's always concerned. He's like his dad and like his brother, instinctive, good player, tough. I mean, there's a lot of good young players, and the problem is they're playing too many young players or true freshmen at once. And what you're getting is a lot of mental errors, and they're going to be good though. If you're a Texas fan, you got to be patient. You got to believe in Charlie Strong. I think he's the right man for the job, and they need to start showing progress toward the end of this year. Then into next year, they got to be competitive in the Big 12 to win it, not just be 50-50.
This doesn't look good. They brought out a medical bag, and I believe they're also gesturing for a cart.
Yeah.
They might be concerned about a broken bone.
Yeah, it's tough when 2 minutes to go in a ball game and guys playing hard.
And I agree with what you said about Charlie Strong. More importantly for Texas athletics, much more importantly, Mike Perrin is the new AD, interim athletic director, former Texas football player in the mid and late 60s under the legendary late great Darrell Royal. Successful legal career, and now in his late 60s, back at his alma mater to help out in a tough situation. Steve Patterson forced out as athletic director after 22 months, which can only be described as a disaster by just about every standard. And here comes the cart, and Mike Perrin, I think they've gone against what they just had, and they've gone to a guy who is warm and friendly and cares very much. Not that Steve Patterson didn't care about players and coaches, but Mike Perrin has a much more obvious way of showing it. And I asked him before the game, when he was nice enough to stop by our booth for a visit, do you like Charlie Strong? He said, I love Charlie Strong. So I believe, unless something unusual happens, they're going to give him the time to get this turned around.
Well, you need to do that, especially when you know there's young teams out there, young players.